Hello everyone, it's Amanda. Welcome back to my channel. Today is a very exciting day because I am doing my January 2020 bullet journal setup. It is the very first monthly setup for the entire year. Brand new year, 2020, actually brand new decade as well. So it's a big one and I'm very excited to sit down and kind of get a fresh start. If you guys haven't seen yet, I did post my 2020 bullet journal setup with all of the beginning yearly pages. So if you haven't seen that yet and you're curious to see how I set up my bullet journal for the beginning of this year, be sure to check it out. I will link it above as well as down below. I've been doing bullet journaling for 3 years now. So this is my 4th year bullet journaling and it's still a little bit daunting with the first month of the year, you know, opening a fresh new book, but we got this. You guys can do it. I know a lot of you guys are starting bullet journaling for the first time this year. I always get a lot of questions about beginner tips for bullet journaling, and I have a lot of videos on this, but I do recommend you watch my older videos from like 2017 because that's when I was a bullet journal beginner as well. But yeah, you can keep it simple. There's a lot of different spreads out there, so you know, do your research, do whatever works best for you, and yeah, it's gonna be fun. I cannot wait for 2020. It just seems like such a momentous year. I'm ready to get planning. Before we get started, I'd like to give a quick thank you to today's sponsor, Squarespace. They are an awesome website building platform. I built my website on there, but I'll talk a little bit more about that later in the video. So without further ado, let's begin this decade, January 2020. Grab your pencils, your pens, markers, notebooks, and if you're just hanging out and chilling with me, then grab your cup of tea and your snacks, and let's do this. For this month's theme, January 2020, the first month of the year, I asked you guys over on my YouTube community tab page what theme you wanted to see me do, and by an overwhelming majority, you guys said you wanted to see me do a 1920s, roaring 20s, Art Deco, Great Gatsby-esque theme, because since we're entering 2020, it's like the 20s are starting all over again, so I thought it was very, very fitting, and I love the idea. I am always very interested in different eras of design and art. One of my favorite themes from 2019 was actually the 80s 90s theme that I did, just because I find it so interesting when a specific era has such a distinct style and you know, people can instantly recognize it, and I think that's definitely the case for the 1920s. And actually, since me filming this video, one of my friends, Elizabeth or Plant-Based Bride, she actually did an entire 2020 setup with the Art Deco theme as well, which was amazing. So I'll leave that down below if you want some further inspiration. I love her. She's also from Toronto. But for mine, I decided to do this for January to start off the year. And I think something that is very, very prevalent in all 1920s Art Deco designs, you'll see it in pretty much everything, is this gold color. So I actually ended up having this calligraphy marker that was very chisel tipped, and it worked well because it was thicker, so I could create these bold thick lines and then have this design aspect to it. So it worked really well, and as you can see, I'm using a ruler. I know it's shocking because Amanda Rachley never uses a ruler, but for this it's almost essential because Art Deco was very, very geometrical and angular and almost mathematical because it was symmetrical everywhere. And I know this kind of looks daunting and overwhelming to do at first, but I quickly realized as I was doing it that it was relatively simple to make because essentially it was just one color, and also once you do one line on one side, you kind of just have to flip it and recreate it on the other side and sort of go progressively like that. And then, you know, this design slowly starts forming. For the title, for the January title, as you can see, I made a typo, so I had to cut out some paper to paste it over top almost like a band-aid, and I used this serif type of font that I think was very common in this era. And then I just finished it off with a couple other final details. This sunburst pattern is also a really common design element from this time period. So I really like how this cover page turned out. On the other side, I actually glued in some black paper because actually a really common color combo was black and gold. So this marker shows up really well on top of black, so I thought I might as well play with the black paper. And also, I love doing quotes. So this quote says, "Today is a new beginning." I did some serif fonts, some cursive, and then also played with some more of these Art Deco sort of sunburst design elements. I found a bunch of these on Pinterest and sort of tried recreating them. Art Deco is a style of design that has been around forever, and recently it's kind of made a resurgence in modern design. So you'll see a lot of these actually in modern wallpapers and stuff, but obviously with different twists. So it was really easy for me to find some design inspo, but I will link a lot down below in case you guys want to try creating some Art Deco designs for yourself. But this semicircle sort of pattern was very common, so I did that at the bottom as sort of like a border, and also some in the corners. Alright, so moving on to my monthly calendar layout. So this is actually a spread that I have never done in the 3 years of me bullet journaling. In my 2019 bullet journal flip through, where I show you guys all these spreads that I did during 2019, I mentioned briefly that the overall like regular calendar layout with the squares sometimes didn't work for me, and I've also done the vertical list type of layout before, and that also didn't work for me, just for various reasons. Sometimes I wouldn't have enough space, sometimes it wouldn't be visual enough. So a lot of you guys actually suggested that I do something like this where it kind of mixes the two. So what I had settled on was, on this left side I have a smaller calendar. Normally this calendar I would spread it out over the 2 pages, but for this, as you can see, it's contained in the 1/2 of the spread. And then on the other side I do the vertical bullet journal classic monthly list sort of layout. So you write down 1 through 31 from top to bottom, and then that corresponds to the days of the week. So, I mean, I think this will work for me this month. Obviously, I'm gonna see what works best, and I'll try to evolve and change as normal. But I think because this month is a little less busy, this list layout works pretty well. And then I have the visual element of the calendar on the left side. So, on the right side, as you can see, I'm using these black sticky notes that I actually got from one of you guys as a gift, and I thought it worked perfectly because I could just throw it in my pencil case and always have some black paper with me. So I made these 3 little boxes, and I'm adding a gold Art Deco border around it with my marker, as you can see. But each of these boxes has a different purpose. So the first one is for my monthly goals, obviously something that I want to achieve this month or something that I want to focus on this month. The second one is for my monthly affirmations. Now, if you've watched my 2020 setup, then you'll know I also had an affirmations page for the beginning of the year, so I'll probably end up carrying some over on to January, but I've been really trying to get into that affirmation thing. And then finally I have one for my grateful box, so something that I was grateful for during that month, which I will fill in at the end of the month. So I'm trying to include more like mental health type of exercises in my bullet journal this year. I think it's really important, and I think that's one of the benefits of setting up your own bullet journal, is that you can add little things like this. Next up is my trackers. So of course we have my habit trackers, which I'm setting up using some of these monthly number stamps. I'll link these down below. A lot of you guys ask me where I find these because they are a extreme time saver. And then I'm of course including the habit that I want to track above it. So I have various ones like exercising, which, I mean, I feel like every year I tell myself I want to exercise more, and then it never actually happens. Who can relate? But I also have things like watering my plants and my vitamins and all of that normal stuff. Threw in more of the Art Deco borders for good measure. This entire theme was relatively simple to do because everything was pretty fast to doodle, especially those little corner stuff once you got the hang of being symmetrical and getting in the Art Deco mindset. For my mood tracker, I did the graph layout. I did this for January and I actually kind of liked it, and I think what I'm going to end up doing is drawing a line straight up and then with a little diamond on the top, because that's very Art Deco-y. So the length of the line will signify my mood. Okay, this page, I am bringing back my brain dump page. So I did the little semicircles. I'm calling it like a seashell design that I saw a lot in a lot of my Art Deco inspo pics. So I made a sort of bottom border with that. And then I didn't add anything too crazy for this because it's meant for me to spew out my ideas. So just a title at the top and some things in the corner. One thing that I wanted to note is that I actually didn't make a monthly playlist spread this month. This is about normally the time that I would include it. I know a lot of you guys are interested in what music I listen to, but I found that this past month I actually haven't been listening to that many new songs, and also because it was December I was listening to Christmas songs. So if you guys have any new music suggestions, leave them in the comments below, looking for some new tunes for 2020. For my very first weekly spread of January 2020, this might look a little empty, especially for those of you who are used to some of my older spreads, because usually I set up the whole week. But for the last couple of weeks of December, I had actually been doing something called rolling dailies, or rolling weeklies, some people call it, which basically means that I set up only the day that I'm on. So you'll see that I write down Monday, and then I don't do anything else because I'll just write my whole task list for Monday underneath that, and then once Tuesday comes, I will put Tuesday. And that just ensures that I have enough space to write my whole to-do list for Monday, or if I don't have that many, then you don't have all this excess space. And also this means that if I need it to flip over to the next page, if I somehow have a lot of tasks, I am free to do so. So I've been really liking it recently. Obviously, if you like to set up the whole spread, feel free to do so, but for me, since my to-do list sort of fluctuates, sometimes I need a lot of space, sometimes I don't, I figured having something more flexible like this works really well for now. And so before I show you the final flip through of January 2020, I wanted to take this time to talk a little bit about today's sponsor, Squarespace. I love Squarespace. It is an awesome all-in-one website building platform. I actually built my personal website, amandarachlee.com, through Squarespace, and it was so easy. They have a ton of beautiful designer templates, so even if you have no experience whatsoever in web design, you can create a really beautiful, professional-looking website, whether it be an online store or a portfolio. Directly on their website, you can actually claim and transfer domains, you can sell online, and you also have access to a bunch of marketing tools such as email newsletters. So it's really easy, and if you ever need any help, they have award-winning 24/7 customer service. I know firsthand that website building can be very daunting and overwhelming, but they are there to help you out. So if you want to build a fresh new website for the fresh new year, or even revamp your old one, and you want to try out Squarespace, you can head to squarespace.com/amandarachlee for a free trial and for 10% off your first purchase of a domain or a website, and that also helps us out here on the channel and supports us a little bit. So yeah, thank you to Squarespace, and back to the flip through. Alright friends, so here's the final flip through of my January 2020 bullet journal setup. We did some 1920s inspired design with the Art Deco, and I really love this one because it is a lot more simple than I normally go for, which I feel like I need for January. I keep saying this, but fresh start, so I like that it is, pared down a bit. Okay, we did it, guys. January 2020. Set up in our bullet journals. But in all seriousness, I really do wish you guys a very happy new year. Thank you for being with me in 2019 and for all your love and support. It was a crazy year, and I can't wait to see what 2020 brings us. So nothing but love, happiness, and of course lots of doodling for next year. This outro would not be complete without me showcasing some of your recreations. This was from December 2019, which seems like ages ago, but here you go. Here are some of your recreations. If you do happen to recreate this month's setup or any previous setups of mine and you want me to see it, be sure to tag me on Instagram or Twitter or anywhere. My handle is just @amandarachlee, and on there I also do a lot of other stuff like weekly spread live streams, and it's just the best way to keep updated with me. Anyway, thank you so much for watching. I hope you guys enjoyed. Again, Happy New Year. There's a lot coming for you guys from my little Doodles fam. I love you guys so much. So keep doodling, and I'll talk to you in the next video. Bye everyone.